So this is the sort of second video on some fundamental Silver-esque principles. This time we're looking at times, in particular the true times, and look at the question of whether or not this is a universal principle that's applicable to all weapon systems, or maybe it's not. So last time we looked at distance. This week we're looking at time, the different sorts of times we get, and the principle of the true times as opposed to the false times. So Silver says that any fencing motion takes up to 4 different motions. Okay? There is the movement of the hand. There is the movement of the body, where I might shift my body weight forward. There is the movement of a foot, which could be a step or a lunge from a position like this. And there is the time of the feet. Now, some people, including myself, interpret that as meaning a passing step, where I'm moving one foot past the other. Some people think that this is still time of the foot, and instead time of the feet is something where we move 2 feet. So I might make a gathering step and then a pass, or a gathering step and then a lunge. It doesn't really matter what Silver meant, okay? It's all pretty much the same thing. The important bit is that each of those motions take a different amount of time. A hand motion takes no time at all, okay? And Silver says that if you are close enough, that is in close distance, such that you may strike your opponent with just a hand motion and they may strike you with just a hand motion, the first person who moves is going to win, and you are not going to be able to defend yourself, at least not reliably. Okay, so some people have really quick hands and are quite twitchy. Ross has fast hand and is pretty twitchy, but if he tries to parry these, not fast enough. He might get there occasionally, but generally speaking, if somebody is attacking you with just a hand motion, you are not reliably going to be able to defend yourself. Now, a little further away, I can't hit Ross with just a hand motion. Okay, I'm short, but I can with a body lead, so a shifting of the body weight, such as that. Okay, now this is what Silver calls the time of the body. That is this shift forward, and combined, it is the time of the hand and body. Silver doesn't use this a lot. It doesn't really come up a lot with sort of single broadsword, but there are weapons and systems in which it does. So, with longsword, for example, you see motions where you're shifting your body weight from here and back again. So if Ross just throws a quick blow at my head, I might avoid it and come back in using the shift of my body in order to avoid the blow, instead of using a movement of my feet. Likewise, there are some weapon systems which use a very forward-weighted position here, kind of presenting the head as a target. And the idea being that if your opponent takes it and tries to hit you on the head, simply standing up gets you out of distance and allows you to riposte really quickly. So none of those are really true for Silver's single sword, but he certainly recognised that sometimes the time of the body is an important time. Now, Silver is of the opinion that either of those times, the time of the hand or the time of the hand and body, are too quick to reliably defend against. What you want to do is stand at a distance where your opponent must put in a foot in order to reach you. In other words, use time of the foot or time of the feet. So, again, time of the foot is a position like this, where I might be able to strike on a lunge. Time of the feet, little further away, where I have to use a passing step, or a gathering step, or multiple steps. Okay? And they take longer to complete. And the time that it takes my opponent to make that attack gives me time to react, to move out of the way, to put my sword in the way, do whatever I need to do to defend myself. So, we now end up with a slight paradox. If you want to go switch to single sword. So here I am in open fight at a good wide distance in order to strike Ross on a simple pass forward. And what I'm going to do is swing my sword as fast as I can, while stepping forward as fast as I can. I'm going to do everything at once, and I'm going to see what happens. and now Ross can do that. So, why did I miss? I missed because of the discrepancy between the speed of the hand and the speed of the foot. If I do this as fast as I can swing my sword from here in a fraction of a second. On the other hand, that passing step takes a lot longer. So if I do everything as fast as I can all at once, my sword has swung itself through before my feet have a chance to get me close enough to hit Ross. Okay. So, there are two solutions to this. Option number one is to step close enough until I can hit Ross really fast with my hand. The problem with that is this. I bring my body into Ross's distance before I've done anything to defend myself. I bring myself into his close distance and I've done nothing to keep myself safe. That is a false time where the feet move before the hand. The opposite of that is, of course, the true time where the hand moves before the feet. So my hand motion starts, my feet follow. And if Ross attempts a stop thrust halfway through that action, I can do something about it. I can beat it out of the way, I can simply abort my attack, I can go around it. I can avoid that because at this point here, my hand is moved, Ross has made some sort of defense, my feet are not yet committed. And I have time to redirect my attack to deal with the threat. Okay? Now, Silver's key phrase here is that the hand must be before the body. Okay? And that means in front of. Okay? There are situations where my hand is already in front of my body. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But generally speaking, if I'm fighting from open fight or from garden fight, I don't even think about moving my feet until my hand is about here, extended form. I'm not moving my hand as fast as I can, otherwise we run into the previous problem. I want to time my blow so that it hits Ross at the same time my foot lands, because that maximises the power of the blow. Now, part of that is in the grip of the sword, which is a topic for another video, okay? But for now, just remember that the hand moves first, but you control the speed of it until the last possible second so that it lands with your foot. So with a basket-hilted sword, we have a basket, which means that as I extend, I've got this lovely defensive shield in front of my hand that I can use to put in front of me as I step in, okay? Which means that I can afford to leave the point of my sword hanging back a little bit. I can lead with the hilt and the forte and keep this back so at the last second I can snap that forward for extra power in the blow, which is why this sword is so cool. Not all swords are like this. With a long sword, the same rules apply, but we have a different problem just because of the differences in the weapon. If I swing the same way I did with a single sword, I'm just leaving my hands out there to get cut off. Okay? I can't afford to attack like this. This is not a true time. This is just a leading with my hand. So when Silver says the hand goes first, he's really talking about the sword goes first. And most importantly, the killing bit of the sword. So, with one of these, what I want to do is lead like so, with this sort of L shape between the cross and the blade, because I don't want to have my hands cut off. I want to protect my hands from a counterattack. So my true time, still true time, so it looks like this: hand, body, foot or feet, because I'm protecting my hands. Protecting my hands. Okay? So, it works differently with different weapons. One of the reasons I don't really like this as an offensive guard in longsword compared to this is from here, up on right shoulder, whether you're here or here or here or whatever, it allows you to get your hands safely behind your weapon before you make your attack. So, slightly different with the longsword. So the true time is often held up as a universal principle that is applicable to all systems and all weapons, but I'm going to look at a few sort of anomalies that might challenge that. So, first of all, if we have a companion weapon such as an outhouse dagger or a buckler, okay? So with either of these weapons, it is in front of us, okay? So depending on if Ross's sword is up there, theoretically, I can step into distance without having moved my sword. Now, Ross can hit me at any angle. No, okay? So I have moved to a place where I can hit Ross in multiple places. I've gone around him, away from his weapon, to a place where I can strike him. I've gained the place of him, while protecting myself with my offhand weapon, which could be a buckler, could be a dagger, whatever. Which means that in theory, I can hang back with my sword and strike in time with the hand at the very last second. Is that technically a false time? Well, I've got a weapon, okay? A buckler counts as a weapon, a dagger counts as a weapon. It is before me, it is in front of me. So it is entirely possible for me to gain the place and then strike in time with the hand. So that is technically a true time, I would argue, because my weapon is before me, but I get to strike in time with the hand having gained the place. We'll talk about place later. Some other anomalous things to think about. What if I have something like an axe, or it could be a stick, a shillelagh, a walking stick, something along those lines, okay? And it doesn't have any sort of hilt at all. There is actually no way of presenting this without putting my hand in danger of being struck, okay? So, do the true times apply to a weapon like this at all? Now, maybe not. I have read more than one Japanese martial art book which to do with stick fighting, which says it recognises this problem, explains it very clearly, and concludes that there is no point in extending your hands before your feet to get you into distance, because all it does is put your hands in danger of being smacked by the other person. So you may as well reserve them for maximum power generation. Likewise, the Manual del Barretero, the gypsy knife fighting manual, recognises a problem, but says with a knife, you are not going to extend your hand out at the other person before you step, because they will just chop you off. And it recognises that getting into distance and then striking is dangerous, but it says that's the only way. So weapons that don't have any sort of protection, true times might not apply. Likewise, Japanese sword practitioners often get a lot of grief because it appears that they aren't attacking in true times. But again, with a weapon a little bit like this, okay, there's no way I could adequately protect my hands from being cut off with the little super thing. Okay, so just go to some medium guardy type thing. So anything I do from here, there's no way this is good enough that I can't get countercut on the hands. And so I have discussed this with different Japanese sword practitioners. I've got different answers from different people, but generally speaking, the conclusion is that there's not much point in leading with the hands and then following the sword, because it's very, very difficult to avoid a countercut at the hands regardless. So it's best that something that you don't really worry about and you concentrate on making a really good cut. I've also been told by different Japanese practitioners that actually, yes, the true times are a thing, but they're a more advanced thing. They teach people to cut first, and then the timing becomes a more advanced technique, a more advanced concept, partly because it's safer to learn to cut with a really, really sharp sword by just standing there and cutting the target until you're ready to be able to put footwork in with it as well. Now, if there's any Japanese sword people out there who would like to talk more about that and teach us, that would be really good. But the nature of this weapon suggests to me that maybe true times don't necessarily apply. Finally, there is the issue of bearing in. So bearing is a principle of a series of techniques that you see in British backsword manuals, where the idea is that you step in underneath your engagement and you press your opponent's sword out of the way in order to open up a line of attack. So if I do that, I'm starting at a distance. As I step in, I'm stepping into close distance on my bearing. Technically, Ross could disengage and hit me, and that's going to take a little bit of time, and I should have some time to deal with it. But Silver might say that this is a false time. I've stepped into close distance before making my attack with the time of the hand. However, it could also be argued that my hand is before me. I'm dealing with my opponent's sword, and because of the engagement, in order to hit me, Ross has to disengage all the way around, which gives me time to respond. Even if you throw over with a cut one, perform actions like that. So these actions exist within the British system. Is it a true time? Is it a false time? Well, that's arguable. But it's another example where the whole true times thing becomes a little interesting, flexible. Likewise, when we start talking about different lengths of weapons and different heights, you can see that not all attacks are going to be made in time with the hand, body and foot, or hand, body and feet. So, a tall person with a long sword can walk up to Ross into what is my close distance and then strike in time of the hand. Okay? This is a perfectly valid attack. Ross can't hit me. Okay? Because I have a longer weapon, I can step into what is close distance for me and be a wide distance for him and be able to strike in time of the hand. And that is true times. There's nothing wrong with that. I am perfectly safe. Okay? Slightly more advanced version of the same thing is to use geometry. So here we are at wide distance. Can't hit Ross, Ross can't hit me. Good. Okay? If I step to here, Ross still can't hit me, but I can hit him. Okay? Because of the changed geometry. I've moved, in this case, around to the right, away from Ross's sword, to a position where I can strike Ross on the head and Ross can't hit me. So if Ross lets me, okay, advanced, experienced people will not let you, but if Ross lets me to do this, I can delay my attack until I'm in position to deliver that really quickly. Now, Silver talks about being able to do that, again, that's gaining the base, particularly against somebody who's in a passata wall, so the sword is there, okay, it's passata, because in this case the sword is down here, it's actually got quite a long way to go in order to defend that high attack. So against a passata, Silver says, someone in an open fight can strike in time with the hand. How do I do that? Like so. Ross can't hit me, because I've moved angularly away, and he can't really parry this in time, because his sword has got too far to go, it's wide spaced. So, perfectly valid attack in time of the hand. So not all true times attacks need to be time of the hand, body and feet, or time of the hand, body and foot. Thanks for watching. If you've got any questions about that, please shoot them to us, and that might inspire further videos.